What's up guys, it's your boy Rabnat, and today I'm going to be going over how to build this Oriental style house inside of Minecraft. So as you can see, it's got quite a lot of detail in it, it's quite large, and especially with the shaders, it looks really good. So, if you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe, of course, and let me know if you have any other ideas for what I should build or make a tutorial of next. So, let's get right into the build. Right then, so one thing we want to think about before we start building is to think about the scale of the build. So obviously, it depends on like what you're aiming for. So maybe you want to build something in survival, so you probably go for the small one. Maybe you just want to like try out a new style, so you probably go for this one. Or if you want some sort of very like large build, a larger style of build that maybe you show to your friends, you'd probably go for the larger scale. So, obviously the first scale is the small. So, the sign is wrong, it's actually 13 by 9, so I'll probably put that in the description or something so you know all the sizes. And as you can see, this is just a good size for a small survival base. So it's got a decent amount of room inside for like all your survival needs, and obviously there'll be little extensions on the sides, and I'll go over how I plan those out. So yeah, next we have the medium style, so this is 17 by 11, and as you can see, this is what I'm going to be building, and I think it looks pretty good size really. It means you can add on a lot of different side parts, and I think it'll look pretty good. Next we have the 13 by 21, this is obviously the large one. Not really much to say about it, obviously it's just, if you want to go for that larger scale, then choose this one. Right then, so now what we're going to do is quickly have a look at some palettes that I would recommend using, and also have a quick look at some of the techniques I'm going to be using in the build before we get into the time lapse. Right then, so here are some palettes I'd recommend using. So obviously I've got 5 here, but there are like so many you could probably use. So this is what I'm going to be using. This is just a acacia one with a black stone roof. So as you can see, the main thing of this build is it's got like a base of stone. It's sort of got these pillars, and then the roof is out one block, and it's got a incline. So it goes slabs and then into stairs, creating sort of like a curved pattern. Obviously you can't really see it at this scale, but when you get it a bit bigger, it does look very good. So as you can see in this build, we have the base made out of stone brick stairs in sort of like a pattern. So the way I made this is by placing an upside down stair here and a stair here, and then I just connected them using like the upside down stairs but facing towards this wall here. Obviously it's got a stripped acacia here just to hold it up, and the way I've done the roof is by putting stairs underneath here with a slab in the middle, and then I place the like outer rim of the acacia slabs on like outside of that, and this just gives it an extra layer of depth and makes it seem much bigger than it actually is. So that's the first one, and then this is another one I quite like. So this one has a polished andesite base with some dark oak pillars. Obviously use the same colour of white concrete as the walls, and the same underbit here, but on the roof it's got red nether brick, which I really like. I think it looks really cool and complements the build quite well, with some stone on like the outer rim. This one I don't really like quite as much. Obviously it's got the stone roof, which is pretty good. It's got some dark oak pillars, but they're not stripped. And then obviously the side here and the base is made out of polished granite, with a spruce like underlayer here. This one is like the first one I ever did, so it's got a cobblestone bottom layer with some lime terracotta walls and some spruce pillars just there. Then underneath here we've got some smooth quartz stairs and slabs with a smooth sandstone rim and some dark prismarine in the centre. This is kind of a common style really, so yeah. This is my attempt at sort of like a greeny one. Obviously, they really need to add some more greener like stairs, because dark prismarine is sort of like the closest one we have. But yeah, so it's got a stone brick rim, some cobblestone as the sort of like holding up part, and obviously the base is just normal, and it's got some oak wood pillars holding up this smooth sandstone centre. Okay, so before we get into the time lapse, here is just my plan of the build. So you may be thinking, oh, what do all these colours mean? And the way I like to think of it is each one of these things is a bit of IKEA furniture. So each of them are a different colour, they all connect together, and they all just like look like really nice in the end, however hard the instructions are. So each of these different parts is a little like different section of IKEA furniture. So you know how you get those like painted metal containers. So you get that like big blue one. I've actually got one in my room. You've got this big blue one, and then you've got like some orange ones and some grey ones. So I like to think about it like that. So each of these things represent like a different size of like different thing, and what I'd recommend doing is you just take all of these sizes, you just mix them up and put them in a random place on the build and see how they look. So obviously this like lime green one, so this one connects into this, and the way I normally think about it is this. So like this is part of the wall, and then this is 4 out, so that's 5 by 9 in total. And then obviously I've just done this, so it's part of that part. This is a what's that, 7 by 9, I believe. I'll put all of the like different lengths on the screen and all of the different shapes, so you know what to do. Here we've got a 5 by 5, we've got a 7 by 7, and we've got a 5 by 7. And what I've also done is I've just laid out some black concrete. So this is where like some like balconies are gonna go, some like raised up areas, because when we look at the build, we're gonna see it's got some different parts. So if you guys want a specific planning video, please let me know, so I'd really like to do that, because I know a lot of people definitely struggle with the whole planning out of buildings. Normally I wouldn't use this many colours, but I just thought it would help you guys visualise how this works. So right then, let's get right into the time lapse. Right then guys, so right now we're starting to build up the base of the structure and just going over some of the things. So as you can see, all I'm doing here is just building up the like lower walls. So as you can see, we're just mixing in like sort of like going up in sort of like a pyramid sort of shape. So we've got the stone bricks at the bottom, and then with some stone brick walls, and then with some cobblestone slabs on top, with obviously some cobblestone like walls and blocks in the corners just to make them stand out. Now what we're doing is I've built up some pillars from each corner of the build in the bottom, because obviously this is raised up and we want to know what we're actually building before we put it on the floor. So now what we're doing is we're building up the corners of the build, 6 blocks I believe, and adding in an A-frame. So I really hope you guys sort of like the thing in the corner. The way I did that is I just recorded some first-person footage and just put it in the corner while editing, and I just hope it helps you guys see what's going on. You might notice there's like a different texture pack going on. I did download some vanilla tweaks just to make it a bit easier on myself. So yeah, and now as you can see, we've just filled in the walls with some white concrete, and yeah. So now we're doing the roof. So the way I've done this is there's sort of like a layer on the side of the wall made out of dark oak stairs, and then on the outside of that, so that sort of goes up the A-frame as well. And what we've also done is we have added in some like acacia wood around the outside of that, and what that does is it creates a lot more depth, and I think it looks really interesting, so I definitely recommend doing that. So yeah, so having a close look at the roof, we can see that it's built up quite interestingly. So at first it just goes up like slabs, and then what it does is it sort of transitions into going up in stairs, so it's steeper, and that just adds sort of like a nice curved look to it, and I really like that, and I think it's very obviously realistic and it looks really cool. What we've also have is sort of like some bits on the side of the roof sort of like coming out and going up a bit. Those are obviously just Oriental. They don't actually do anything. I don't even know how rain goes off them, to be honest. But yeah, I think they look really good and they are pretty interesting and just add that extra bit of shape that we didn't need, but still looks really good. So now, as you can see, we're just building up that side bit there, and soon the roof will be done. Well, I mean, it would be if I got it right first time, because pretty much most of this time lapse is just me and making mistakes on the roof and having to rebuild it. But soon enough, we will be getting into some actual building of the next layer. So as you can see, we're just building up that part there. So that's going to be the second floor, and I think it looks pretty interesting. If you see any weird flashes, that's because I was teleporting between this build and one I'd done earlier of the same palette, and I was just trying to get all the roof the same. But I guess I didn't have it in rendered chunks, so that was just like a white screen. And when I was trying to like edit it together, obviously the white chunks just didn't really work very well, and it just creates these weird flashing. So yeah. So as you can see, we're just perfecting the roof, even though it's not actually right. So yeah, yay me, I guess. So yeah, overall, this is sort of like a very interesting style. I know a lot of people have done it before. So yeah, there are a lot of different ways to do this, like palette wise. So for example, I did show you some earlier, but there are obviously different ways of building it, like with those palettes. So I have made like loads of different types of these houses, and if you'd want like if you maybe want like a different type of style at some point, then I will probably do that, because obviously there are loads of these tutorials, and I only really chose this palette to stand out. And yeah, I think it looks pretty good. So as you can see, what we're doing here is just building all of this up. The roof is very confusing because the sort of like first block starts like on the side. If you see like the stairs coming out the front, the first like block that I normally build is the one at the base. So if you see those two blocks there, well, I mean they're not there anymore, but if you see the first like block over the stair poking out is a block above it, and I completely forgot to do that. So you need to remember to place that block above it and on the right layer. So right then, so yeah, here's us just building up the roof, getting the right layers and everything like that. What I quite like about the sort of like overhang on the sides is that it uses stairs and it creates a really cool like shape, like pattern, and I think it looks really nice. So pretty much we're just building all of this up, so not really much to say. Yeah, so if you'd like this sort of video, then please let me know, and if there are any parts of it that you're struggling with, then I would happily do a video on any of these like parts. Like I don't know, like how did I make the roof? How did I like make up the walls? How did I add so much depth into it? And yeah, so as you can see, we're now building up the second layer. So out of this acacia wood, that's just how I planned it out, and obviously the walls are being broken up into different layers, or like different parts. What this does is it breaks up the white, as white is very bright, obviously, and it just is not really a very great colour to just be completely seeing all the time, especially in an older style of house like this. So here's me just copy and pasting that build just onto the other side, like which is the same width, because I just couldn't be bothered to rebuild it again, as I just had enough of rebuilding the same roof at that point. So yeah, so now all we're doing is we're filling in the sort of like walls here, and we will be building up the sort of like the roof on that part. So as you can see, all we're doing here is just building out this side. The bit at the back, that's like a tower, and I'm pretty happy with that. I think that's pretty cool. So on these parts here, we've got another overhang. This time it's using slabs, so it just goes up a slab, and then another slab. So the first slab is sort of like on the corner of the like stair. So what if we'll probably go down in a minute. If you can see, the first slab is like on the same like level as the first blackstone slabs, and the second one is sort of like outside of it. So now we're just building up the tower using the same technique, and as you can see, it's pretty cool. I think, yeah, now we're going into building the windows. So for these, I used acacia trapdoors, as there are holes in them in most packs, and as you can see, it looks really cool, and there's definitely a big change from glass. So what I've been trying to do is just put them in the middle of the white to break it up again. But obviously, there's nothing wrong with putting them on the sides, and there are some in like the top of the A-frame. So if we have a look there, as you can see, there's one just there, like in the pillar. I think that's pretty cool. So we're pretty much nearing the end of the build. It's just sort of like the final touches now as the main structure's done. So now we're going to be adding in some texture to the walls. So these are some birchwood planks and some white concrete powder. I really like these blocks. I haven't seen many people use them in the white concrete. Obviously I could have used diorite, but I just thought this was a much different block to put in. Wow. Next what we're going to be doing is adding in some polished blackstone into the blackstone brick roof. This obviously breaks it up and makes it a bit more smooth in some places. I really like it. What we're going to be doing after that is adding in some sort of like texture to the stone base. So in a minute we should be going down, and what we're doing here is putting in some mossy stone bricks and some mossy stone brick walls. I would put in some cracked stone bricks and stone brick walls, but they're not really as good. And I mean, there aren't walls with the cracked, which is very annoying, but it is what it is, I guess. So yeah, so now we're just adding in that texture, and we're nearing the end of the build really. All that's left is to add some extra details, but you don't really need to like see to have the build be finished. But we are going to be adding in some leaves under the windows just to make it look interesting. There's the door going in. Excuse me. Wow. And yeah. So that's pretty much the end of the build. As we like go around, we're going to be seeing a good view of the front of the build. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this time lapse. And yeah, now we're going to be going and having a closer look at the build. So let's get right into it. Right then guys, so as you can see, the build is pretty much done. I have made like a small interior, but it's not really very finished. So yeah, anyway, as you can see, I have added a little bit after the time lapse. So I added some lanterns on the like edges of the sort of like part going around here, and we don't need that anymore. I've also added in behind the windows. I've added in some redstone lamps, as I find that they kind of look like a window, and when you like move out a bit, they sort of make a cool pattern. I've also added some like a railing to this balcony part, so I've just placed some stone brick slabs on top of the cobblestone ones. We can have a look at a few of the details. So as you can see, the walls are a mix of the birchwood and the concrete powder, and in the roof I have mixed in some polished blackstone in to just make it look a bit more interesting. So let's have a quick look at the inside. There's not really much to it, because obviously the these things just get in the way, but what I've done is I've just planned out some rooms. So as you can see, we've got like a entrance hall here, maybe like a dining area. We go into like a central corridor into like this sort of like living room. Then we've got like a back door, maybe like a kitchen. And then here we've just got another random room for absolutely nothing really. Here we have a ladder, so we can go up here. And if we have a look around, there's actually sort of like a center floor. So unlike the whole scale of things, this is actually inside the area between like the like sort of like rim around the top floor even. So if we go here, it's sort of like in the area going around here. So obviously, as I've already mentioned in the time lapse, this part is 1 block backwards, and it's obviously 2 blocks up. So there's enough room inside for a little sort of like area. Oh, okay. So if we go into there, we can see we have a few rooms. So we just have some like little storage or bedrooms. So some of them are some pretty high roofs, but most of them aren't really livable in. So yeah, we just got some small rooms in here. And if we go up here, we have like the actual second floor. So we've just got a room here, slightly larger one here, and a small one here. There is a little bit of attic space, but not really enough to make it worth it. So yeah, so that is pretty much the build. I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. I had a lot of fun making this, and I hope you guys also had fun making it. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will hopefully see you in the next video. So yeah, okay, bye.